All right, let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for church this morning, the chance to be able to meet with your people, the chance to be able to meet with you, Lord, along with your people. And that's what we hope to do today. I pray that you join in with us. Help us to be able to put aside the cares of this world, deceitfulness of riches, the lust of other things, Lord, at this time, but not only at this time, throughout our lives, and be able to focus on you. Tune us into your spirit, enlighten us to the truth in your word, and help us to see that truth. Help us to be, Lord, enlightened by it, just to enjoy it, to enjoy you, but also be strengthened and molded and made closer to your image as we can reflect it down here on this earth, Lord, till the time that you come and we bear that image perfectly, Lord, in body, soul, and spirit. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, Psalm 82. Now, picking it up, just to read you again from verse number 1. God standeth in the congregation of the mighty, he judgeth among the gods. And so we're looking at that last time, and we're talking about the gods there, the small g gods. These small g gods were the children of the Most High. Verse number 6, look at that. I've said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. So we're discussing, possibility of who that is. We see, as you hear it expounded a lot, it's very often referred to that the gods are referenced to judges. I would surmise that you would get that from verse number 2, where after he talked about judging among the gods, he said, how long will ye judge unjustly? And that's, now the Lord's judging among the gods, and the idea would be then the gods are judging unjustly, so they would make that a reference to the judges. Now, maybe it does have some reference to judges, but even if it does, that does not preclude it from having other references and application. And so we're looking at last time the idea of these judges who are referred to as children of the Most High, being the sons of God, which were angels. And these were people that were existed, I say people, beings that were existing in existence before the creation of mankind. We'll go back and show you where we got that in just a little bit, where we left off. Or one of the definitive place, I think, that shows that. But you take precedent or other case where God could be talking to one and also referring to another. Classically, it's in Ezekiel chapter 28, where at the beginning of the chapter, he's talking to the prince of Tyrus, changes it to address the king of Tyrus about the middle of the chapter. But in both cases, as he addresses those, he is giving information that pertains to the devil. So he's talking to the devil in these people. So, okay, is there a prince historically? Yes. Is there a king of Tyrus historically? Yes. But the devil's in him, and he's giving you information about the devil, and some of the most insightful information that you get about the devil is in Ezekiel chapter 28. So it would not be unusual for God to make a reference to gods who may have application to judges, and yet still have another application to something beyond that in the spiritual. So God will sometimes address something in the earth while being referring to something in heaven. We talked about, I think, at last time, just like the tabernacle. You have a tabernacle on earth, but it's a picture of the true in heaven. So in Psalm 82, he's standing in the congregation of the mighty. God is also judging among the gods. All right, we were in Job 38 when we stopped last time. Let's go back there. Job 38. And in Job 38, and by the way, prior to that, we had come across these sons of God in Job chapter 1 when they are meeting with the Lord, and following through with this being the right interpretation or application, he is judging among those gods. They're coming with Satan, and the Lord's meeting with them, and God's giving directions. So Job 38, regarding sons of God, and now let me just say this, there's a lot of discussion, controversy, mild controversy, even among the brethren about this. Not everybody agrees with this idea, interpretation, and some vehemently oppose it, and some vehemently promote it. And I'm just giving you scriptures and telling you what it looks like to me, and looks like I'm not alone in this. But I wouldn't make this a point of fellowship, is what I'm saying. I mean, sometimes you can have good people, when it comes to some of finer points of interpretation, they'll disagree. And this is not a salvation doctrine we're talking about here. Not that, and there's other doctrines that are important beyond salvation, but I'm saying I wouldn't, if somebody disagrees with you about this, or you disagree with somebody, or you disagree with me, I wouldn't make this a big controversy. You don't want to split a church over this. And you don't want to have people split fellowship over it. But nonetheless, let's look and see what it says. So in Job 38, we're dealing with, we'll start in verse number 1 again, just work our way up there. Job 38 and verse number 1. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? All right, we have Job being questioned by God. And God's referencing now the creation. When he laid the foundations of the earth, where were you, Job? Well, he was nowhere. He wasn't around then. The Lord's letting him know of his superiority. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. You've been telling me all this and going back and forth, and at times accusing me that basically I don't know what I'm doing. Where were you when I made the earth? Where were you when I laid the foundations thereof? Declare if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who hath stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened, or who laid the cornerstone thereof? So at the creation, he's talking about all this, and then he says, When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Before, or at the creation of the earth, before the creation of man. So, you've got these sons of God in existence before the creation of man. Who could they be? They'd have to be the angels. There wasn't man. When we get back to Genesis 6, which we'll look at in a moment, they have the sons of God, and people want to just say, well, there's no way this could be anything but human beings, and they make it the godly line of Seth, is what the tendency is to say. But according to Job 38, you had sons of God before the creation. So, what happened to them? They all die? Now, there's still sons of God around. Now, in the New Testament, we're the sons of God. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But for now, let's go to Genesis chapter 6. Genesis 6. And right about here is where it gets really sticky for some the brethren in their disagreements. And again, I learned to play nice with each other. Genesis chapter 6. And I know how folks look at it. Well, there's truth, and we want to know truth, and I do. And if one person is right on their position, then the other person is wrong. And of course, who's going to think they're right? Whatever position you've got, you're going to think you're right. So the right person is going to think they're right, and the wrong person is going to think they're right. And you're going to think the other person is wrong, and you're right. That's how we look at things. Like a guy said, in matters of controversy, my perception is fine. I see 2 points of view, the wrong one and mine. That's about how we look at it. Genesis chapter 6. So Genesis 6 will start at the beginning as well. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. It came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. So this is where you have the sons of God being referenced by a lot of people as this line of Seth. Schofield note, the marriage of the Canaanites with the Sethites, he says. But he's talking about sons of God and daughters of men. So, I mean, you're assuming that all the women you're assuming that all the godly people were marrying ungodly women, is what you're saying. They're marrying the Canaanites. Could it happen? I suppose, certainly. But the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. So the other point would be then, if the sons of God were angels prior to that, we have, according to the scriptures, angels which left their first estate and left their own habitation, and they fallen angels. And so the other way of looking at it was we're looking at fallen angels who are mingling themselves with mankind. Now again, you get arguments against this, like from a scientific standpoint and I don't know all the technical arguments about this, but different types of things not being able to mingle with different. But again, you're talking humanity and you're talking God. I mean, the Lord can do or allow things, or things that happen in the spiritual realm that supersede the laws of man or the understanding of man. So I won't put it past the potential of this being able to happen. So what happens is they're taking wives of all which they chose, and so that's the mingling, that's a marriage, that's the strange flesh, it would appear, joining man's flesh, or the women in mankind. And then after this, look what happens. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Whatever happens after this, the Lord's terribly upset with mankind. He's going to reduce their lifespan to 120 years. Some folks think that's a reference to 120 years. In 120 years, he's going to wipe them out. But we don't go through all that this morning, but the math doesn't add up on that. I think this is the Lord reducing the lifespan of a man, because he's about to send the flood, and after the flood, man's lifespan is reduced drastically, whereas they had been living up to 900 plus years, Methuselah being the oldest, 969, Adam 930, I believe it was, and now it's going to be very much reduced, again, the average being 120. And so he says, yet my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Verse 4, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which are of old, men of renown. So again, I can look and see how they look at it from a very human standpoint. I can see how it looks also from the other standpoint, where the sons of God are angels which left their first estate. When they appear on earth, they appear as men. We see that in the New Testament, the good angels. Why then couldn't the fallen angels appear as men? And then they mingle themselves with the seeds of men, and these become mighty men of old, which were of old, men of renown. Now notice the word mighty. That word is also a number of times associated with angels. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, first of all. 2 Thessalonians 1. And look at verse 7, 2 Thessalonians 1, verse 7. And you who are troubled, rest with us, when the Lord Jesus shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels. All right, mighty angels. Now again, these are the good angels, but angelic creatures themselves they're powerful and stronger. They're more mighty than men. Look in 2 Peter chapter 2. 2 Peter 2. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 11. Whereas angels, which are greater in power and might, that's then people that he'd been talking about, people on this earth. Whereas angels, which are greater in power and might, they're greater in power and might than mankind, bring not railing accusation against them before the Lord. So angels are mighty, they're greater in power than might than men. Look in Revelation 10. Revelation chapter 10. Verse number 1. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head. His face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. Mighty angel. So you got that mighty, and it's just coincidental. But some may think it is. I think I'm likely to think not. Revelation chapter 18, once more. Revelation 18. Verse number 20. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. 21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. So again, there's a number of references that show angels as being mighty creatures. And back in Genesis chapter 6, you had these sons of God, whoever they were, mingle themselves with the daughters of men, and then children being born, which were giants. They became giants. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when it's associated with this mingling, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old men of renown. All right, so then if these sons of God are angels, go to John chapter 1. And when we say angels, we're talking about the ones that fell. John chapter 1. And again, you got to have something, because there's one thing you're going to have a hard time explaining if you disagree with all of this, is how were there sons of God shouting together at the creation before man was born if all the sons of God are referenced to human beings? And you're going to have a hard time explaining that. Of course, there are some that say there was human beings before Adam, but where are you going to get that? God creates man on the sixth day. All right, John chapter 1. John chapter 1, verse number 11. He came unto his own, that's Jesus. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God. Right now, the sons of God, it's not just a reference to any human being. It's a reference to people that have been saved, people that have been born again, those that have received Jesus. They're called the sons of God. So, if the sons of God in the Old Testament were angels, and all of them, just reference to all the angels, and some of those sons of God fell, and now we get saved and we're called the sons of God, it would appear that what the Lord has done has made the New Testament church a replacement for those fallen angels. And they were the sons of God. We are the sons of God. And so the Lord, however he's working things, seems to have that going on. So let's go back now to Psalms, Psalm 82 for a moment. Psalm 82, verse number 1. God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. That's where we're getting those mighty angels, mighty men. He judgeth among the gods, small g. Again, we point out that these gods were called the children of the Most High. Those of us who are sons of, that was verse 6, those of us who are sons of God are also called the children of God. We saw that recently in the book of Galatians, and I'll get it for you, the exact reference here. I believe it's chapter 3 and verse number 26. Or either that we saw it or we're getting there. Can't remember how far we got there yet, but Galatians 3:26. Yeah, I think we're in chapter 4, so we covered that. For ye are all the children of God by faith in Christ Jesus. So we're called the sons of God. We're called the children of God. And you have here little g gods called the children of God, and children of the Most High, which would also, again, leave us to try to piece together who those sons of God are in Job 38. And so we put that together as, I'd put it together as that would be a reference to the angels. All right, Psalm 82. Psalm 82. Verse number 1, God standeth in the congregation of the mighty, he judgeth among the gods. All right, another picture of this would be, I talked about Job chapter 1, would be when Micaiah is brought out of prison to stand before Ahab and Jehoshaphat. And he says, I saw, the host of heaven, and then this one appeared, and that one said, the Lord said, who's going to go out and, help me defeat Ahab, deceive him? And one said after this man, another said after that. But here's the Lord having a council in heaven with these supernatural beings. And again, it'd be look to be a reference to the council that he's having between these angels, these sons of God. All right, Psalm, we'll have more on this as we go through here, but let's take it in order now. Psalm 82, verse number 1. God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the gods. How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. Okay, again, this is good instruction really for anybody. I mean, anybody who's a leader on this earth, apart from any doctrinal things that we're talking about, this is a real good question. How long will you judge unjustly? Because we look at earth right now, and you got a lot of people that are in positions of judgment, political leaders, other leaders, that are judging unjustly. And the question is, how long? How long will you judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. So practically, this is a rebuke to essentially every leader that caters to the wicked and their ways, and they cave in and give in to those things. Even so, notice the last word of the verse, Selah. And that points you to, like we've seen a number of times, points you to a tribulation reference with this Selah. And in regard to that, picture what's going on in the tribulation. The judges of the earth, the people in positions, are going to be judging unjustly. Moreover, the judges on the earth at that time also would appear to be some supernatural beings. The beast himself going to be a supernatural being, and it seems like he's going to have him some cohorts that are going to be that way as well. So with that in mind, go to Revelation chapter 17. Revelation 17. Revelation 17, verse 12. Revelation 17, 12. Well, I'll start with 11. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. But you got these 10 kings working with the beast. And these 10 kings that work with the beast have power, and they give their power and their strength unto the beast. So they're working in conjunction with it. The beast, some supernatural being, the devil incarnate, and these, at the very least, demon-possessed leaders as well, but at the most, something else. Okay, there's 10 horns, right? Go to Daniel chapter 2. Daniel 2. Nebuchadnezzar had him a bad dream once. Well, more than once. And Daniel had to help him figure it out. And in Daniel chapter 2, he's talking about the beast, and now we're going to get to the fourth kingdom. And the first kingdom was Nebuchadnezzar, and then he went through, and there's following kingdoms. And we get down to the fourth, or get down to this last kingdom, let's say here, in Daniel chapter 2, verse 40, the fourth kingdom, he says, and the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces, and subdueth all things. And as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with the miry clay. Now, man is made from the earth. We come up out of that miry clay. Man is, we're come from dirt and dust, the dust of this earth. And so you've got clay and iron. Just keep that in mind. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay. All right, how many toes on a regular human being? 10. You got 10 horns ruling with the beast as 10 kings. Now this image here, when you're coming down to the end, matching up in Revelation, got 10 toes. And he says the toes were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly divided. Verse 43. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with the miry clay, they, whoever they are, shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. You've got these iron and this clay mingling, or this iron mingling themselves with the seed of men. The seed of men being the clay, the other thing being the iron. Again, it gets wild, but hey, like the saying goes, truth is stranger than fiction. And I'm going to tell you, what God's got going will blow away any science fiction, any special effects that Star Wars or Star Trek or Iron Man could come up with, or any of the other ones. Now here's what you got, the picture, if this is accurate. I should give you one more before I lay it out. Go to Matthew 24. And then we'll try to tie it together, if this is correct. Matthew chapter 24. Verse 36. Matthew 24:36. But of that day and hour knoweth no man. So we're talking about the Lord's coming. And he says, but of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. Talking about the second advent. But as the days of Noe, that's Noah, your Old Testament character, Genesis chapter 6, we're reading. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also be the coming of the Son of Man be. Well, in the days of Noah, when the sons of God took unto themselves the daughters of men, you had the giants in the earth. Then God saw the whole man was wicked, and he wiped the whole place out except for Noah and his family. Well, there's going to be a big wipe out in the tribulation, we know that. But there were giants in the earth in those days. So if it's as the days of Noah, you might look for the giants coming in. And if this is correct, and the fallen angels mingle themselves with the seeds of men, become mighty men of renown, super powerful men, and the iron mix himself with the clay, and they're the 10. You got the 10 kings. You got these supernatural beings that are going to be ruling along with the beast, as it was in the days of Noah. And you talk about, what do you call them at the beginning of Psalm 82? I've said ye are gods. They're the popular literature, shows, movie today. They're going over this theme over and over and over again, where you have people with superpowers. Sure. Yeah. Back when I was a kid, if I remember, we had one person with superpowers. Who was it? Superman. That's right. Now, every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got superpowers. And every Jane, Jill, and Susie got superpowers. This is, and it's almost like you get it foreshadowed in the fictional literature about something that's going to happen down here on this earth. I mean, Star Wars is coming not to a theater near you, but an earth near you. But the good thing for you, if you're saved, we're going to be gone in the twinkling of an eye. But we are going to have part in the last battle. All right? Revelation chapter 19. And guess what? That's it. We win. Why? Because we're on the Lord's side, and the Lord's going to be He is the victor, and He's going to win the victory. All right, so back to Psalm 82. Psalm 82. Psalm 82. One more time, verse 1. God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the gods. How long will you judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. Right, think about it as well during the tribulation time. That's what the Antichrist is going to be doing. That's what the rulers are going to be doing. You're probably going to have rulers that are going to be pressed to follow the Antichrist just because of peer pressure, political pressure, social pressure, just like politicians today go against their conscience because of political correctness and pressure from the media. And for the ones today and the ones in the future, it's a good question. How long? By the way, we've seen that question before a number of times, haven't we? How long shows up time and again in reference to the tribulation. When's this going to come to an end? How long will you judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. If you're in a position of judgment, you are to judge justly. You are to judge with integrity. You are to be impartial in your judgment. But folks aren't. Today, a lot of them are accepting the persons of the wicked. Why? I don't know exactly why, except for the wicked have a lot of clout. And they can make your life miserable if you disagree with them. And in this age of social media and television and news getting around the earth at the speed of light, I mean, you can become a pariah in less than 24 hours. And when men cast your name out as evil. And they can wreck and ruin your life. And they would do it just to further their own cause or further the cause that they're championing on this earth. How long will you judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. Here's what you ought to be doing. Here's the Lord's charge to them. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Again, this will have particular pertinence during the tribulation time when the Antichrist is ruling and you have his 10 wicked leaders ruling with him and all the ones under that as well ruling with him. So it'll have particular pertinence there. But again, we can see this now in society and sometimes even more applicable in particular nations ruled by despots and wicked men. But he says what the leaders ought to be doing is defending. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Be just in your judgment, just like the Lord is just. Verse 4, deliver the poor and needy, rid them out of the hand of the wicked. And that's what they're supposed to be doing. And that's what they're supposed to be doing during tribulation time, ridding them out of the hand of the wicked, as in the Antichrist, which is referred to as that wicked in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse number 8. Now, again, think about how helpful the Bible can be just at any point in history. Now, think if you're a Bible reader in World War II, and you read in verse number 4, deliver the poor and needy. The poor and needy were those displaced Jews that were robbed of everything they had and placed in concentration camps, and they were poor and they were needy and they were in the hand of the wicked, led by another demon-possessed leader named Hitler, who had a bunch of other ones under him, and the nation following his lead. And some folks did deliver folks out of the hand of the poor and needy. And thank God for them. They delivered them out of the hand of the wicked. I'm sorry. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. 5. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. And boy, it's a pretty fair description of society today. You've got a bunch of people walking around, starting with the leaders. They know not. And if the leaders are a mess, then the followers tend to be a mess as well. Look in Proverbs chapter 29. Next book over, Proverbs chapter 29. Proverbs 29, verse 12. If a ruler hearken to lies, all his servants are wicked. So take the aforementioned Hitler. He hearkened to lies about the supremacy of the Aryan race, and he hearkened those lies. And so what happened? His princes, those that ruled under him, they were wicked. And then the tendency would be for the ones under them to be wicked as well. But of course, anybody at any level can make their own choice. And you are responsible for your own choices. But if a ruler hearken to lies, all his servants are wicked. And so it was, and so it tends to be. And so it says, they know not. They're spiritually ignorant. They're ignorant of God's truth. They know not, neither will they understand. Notice the word will. Again, it's not an inability to understand, or that they are incapable of it, is they choose rather to embrace the lie than the truth. Why? Because men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds are evil. That's why. Why is evolution so appealing to the masses today? Because if evolution is true, we weren't created by God. Genesis 1, verse number 1, is a myth and legend and superstition, and there is no God. And if there is no God, we don't have to answer to him. We are our own gods. We answer to ourselves. We do whatever we want. We make our own rules. And that's why man do it. The man just as soon believe they came from animals so that they can live like animals and not have any conscience about it. And their consciences are seared with a hot iron. It's their problem. All right, they know not, neither will they understand. They could, but they won't. And because of that, they walk on in darkness. All right, how can you avoid that, or what's the solution for that? John chapter 8. John 8, verse 12. John 8:12. Then spake Jesus again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. You know how you fight darkness? With light. That's how you fight it. When you come into a room and it's all dark and you can't see, you flip the switch, the lights come on, and it dispels the darkness. He says, Jesus does, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. That's what folks need. They're walking in darkness. They're stumbling into things. They're falling over. They're bumping into stuff, making a mess of things because they can't see where they're going. And what they need is they need light. Jesus is that light. And they're walking on in darkness there in Psalms. Go to John 12 while you're there. John chapter 12, verse 35. Then Jesus said unto them, Yet a little while is the light with you. Walk while ye have the light, lest darkness come upon you. For he that walketh in darkness knoweth not whither he goeth. So the Lord says, while you got that light, you walk in it. Because if not, the darkness is going to overtake you, and you're going to walk in darkness. And when you walk in darkness, you don't know where you're going. And that's people today. That's life on earth today for most everybody, except for the few that find the life that in the Lord Jesus. They're walking on in darkness, and they don't know where they're going. They don't know where they're going when they die. But if they're lost, they're headed for hell. They don't know that. They don't even believe that. They believe you die, you're dead. If you were to die today, where would you go? I've asked people, and occasionally you get this answer: I'd go in the ground. If you die today, where'd you go? 6 feet under. And so I follow up. I'm undaunted by the response. They act like they're the first person that ever said it, and they're going to throw you off. You just hear some of the same stupid arguments over and over again. I say, well, that's where your body's going to go. What about your soul? There's more to you than just your body. And there is. I mean, sometimes you can begin to reason and get people at least to think about it after you're gone. There's more to you than just a body. You have thoughts. You have emotions. You have feelings. ideas. This is beyond your physical human makeup. And so get them thinking. People today, they let everybody else do their thinking for them. Everybody thinks they're original thinkers, while they parrot what they learn in college or school from the professors that tell them we all came from animals, or evolution from the primordial soup way back when. All right, while you're in the New Testament, let's get a little bit more before we close. 1 John chapter 1. He said in Psalm 82:5, you got these folks, they're walking on in darkness. 1 John chapter 1. 1 John 1, verse 6. If we say that we have fellowship with him and walk in darkness, we lie and do not the truth. All right, a little warning to us. You might say you're walking in the light, but if you say that, but you're really not doing it, you're walking in darkness, then you're just lying. If we say that we have fellowship with him and walk in darkness, we lie and do not the truth. But if we walk in the light, so it's more than just what you say, it's what you do. If we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship one with another, and the blood of Jesus Christ, his Son, cleanseth us from all sin. Amen. Chapter 2. 1 John 2, verse 11. But he that hateth his brother is in darkness, and walketh in darkness, and knoweth not whither he goeth, because that darkness hath blinded his eyes. So here again, you might be saved and got off to a good start, but if you have hatred in your heart toward your brother, you may be saved, going to heaven, but you're walking in darkness, even if you are saved. So there's things that we have to do as children of God to make sure that we can still walk without stumbling down here in this earth. All right, let's see. I'll get you one more and we'll have to close. Ephesians 5. Close enough there. We can get there quickly. Chapter 5, book of Ephesians. Talking about walking in darkness or walking in light. Ephesians 5, verse 8. For ye were sometimes darkness. All right? Back before you were saved, that's what you were. You were walking completely in that darkness. For ye were sometimes darkness, but now are ye light in the Lord. Okay? You were in the dark, now you're in the light. You were, I think of that picture of Dr. Ruckman drew in his Tell It Like It Is illustrated salvation booklet, where here's the guy lost. The screen is half dark, half light, and he's halfway between, because he's coming out of the darkness, walking into the light upon salvation. So spiritually that's where we are, but practically there's another admonition in the verse. For you were sometimes darkness, you're lost doctrinally, but now are you light in the Lord? Now you're saved positionally. Instruction, walk as children of light. Not all the children of light walk as children of light, but you're supposed to. No reason for us to walk in darkness. We have the light of the world, Jesus Christ. And we have his light in the Word of God, which is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. You don't need to walk in darkness. You don't need to stumble. Turn on the light and walk in the light. And we'll take a break there.